So with Artemis 2 coming up, I want to talk about why it has taken us so long to get back to the moon. Now there's a couple of reasons, but the first one is funding. NASA does not have an unlimited budget, and during the 60s, when the space race was happening, they were getting about twice as much money, adjusted for inflation, as we're getting now. The amount of funding NASA was getting in the Apollo era was a really unique situation, driven primarily by international competition. And ever since we got to the moon first, there hasn't been as much of a political pressure to go back. And so, in the time since, NASA has prioritized other things with its more limited budget, things like the Space Shuttle program, the ISS, robotic missions to Mars, and big flagship space telescopes. It is expensive to get to the moon, it requires a lot of resources, and only in the last decade or so has the political pressure started to rise again to make it a priority for NASA. Again, driven largely by international competition because now China's trying to get to the moon. So the lack of infinite resources is one reason why it's taken so long, but another one is technology. This is the Saturn V, the rocket that got us to the moon in the 60s, and it is a very impressive feat of engineering. But after the Apollo program, they retired this rocket. They decommissioned all of the infrastructure that was needed to build it. There isn't a whole rocket that's been sitting around somewhere waiting to go to the moon. We would have to build it from scratch. Although we probably wouldn't want to do that because, believe it or not, technology has changed a lot since the 60s. So when we started to develop the Artemis program, instead of saying, let's just rebuild the Saturn V, they decided to design a new rocket. So NASA designed the Space Launch System, which uses modern materials and techniques and is more powerful than the Saturn V. And it's not just the rocket, we also had to design a new spacecraft for the astronauts. The Apollo spacecrafts were small, powered by fuel cells, and had a 1960s computer. The Orion spacecraft, what's used in the Artemis missions, is bigger, uses solar power, and also has modern computers. Computers that are 20,000 times faster and have 128,000 times more memory than what was used in Apollo. So between the sharp drop-off in federal funding, the fact that the Apollo-era infrastructure was decommissioned, and the fact that technology has changed, we kinda had to start from scratch in designing a new space program to get humans to the moon. And we weren't able to begin that process until the government decided to prioritize it, which they've only really done in the last decade.